Hello everyone, it's me again, and I'm here with another video, which will act as the conclusion to what the Fantastic Four were in the Infinity Saga. Anyways, let's get right into it. The first movie being Captain America Civil War, which is basically the same movie except as a consequence of the Avengers splitting up, it would be announced that the Avengers Tower would be purchased by the Reed/Storm family, which would then become the Baxter Building, for obvious reasons. And Spider-Man have a dream of wanting to meet the Fantastic Four, which will happen in the future. Next movie is Doctor Strange. It's basically the same movie, except the Ancient One would know who Doctor Doom is and that she trained Doom and she kicked Doom out as her student because she sensed darkness in Doom, and Doom was power hungry and attempted to kill her so he can become the ruler of all magic. Next movie is Fantastic Four 3, which would be called Fantastic Four The Negative Zone. The film would, of course, as you can guess, adapt the Negative Zone storyline with Annihilus, who'd be played by, I'd say maybe Scott McNeil because of his performance as the Overlord from Ninjago, or someone else like maybe Andy Serkis, who did play Claw, but if not, then maybe Ralph Fiennes. I think anyone could try to play Annihilus. Maybe even Toby Kebbell said his performance as Doom was more like Annihilus, if I'm being honest. At the end of this film, Franklin Storm would die, and Sue would be pregnant with her and Reed's child in the end. Doom would take a back seat. But in terms of a secondary villain, this can be a good time to bring back the Mole Man, and also introduce Red Ghost, played by John Malkovich. And the film would explain the Fantastic Four's absence during the events of Civil War. Next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's basically the same movie except Ego would know who Galactus is, and there would be an after credits scene featuring Galactus, played by Ralph Ensign. Still. Next movie is Spider-Man Homecoming. It's basically the same movie except the Fantastic Four would replace Iron Man, and Peter would meet Johnny for the first time, referencing their friendship in the Ultimate Comics. And rather than the Iron Spider suit, they would instead try to give Spider-Man the Future Foundation suit, but he says no. And the Tinkerer would be replaced with Chameleon, who was his first villain that he was teaming up with the Fantastic Four. It'd be kind of like that. And Vulture would also have a history with Reed Richards. Next movie is Thor Ragnarok. It's basically the same movie except it would be mentioned that Thor wishes that the Thing was here, or even the Fantastic Four as a whole, to face Hulk. And that's all I need to say, honestly. Next movie is Black Panther. It's basically the same movie except Claw would survive. Next movie is Avengers Infinity War. It's mostly the same film except there would be a subplot where Sue and Reed sit out during the final battle of Wakanda, and Reed is helping Sue give birth to their child. And basically, Johnny would be snapped. Next movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp: AIM. The film would explain where Hank and Janet were during the events of Infinity War. Essentially, the film is again similar to Nano V Movie's pitch for Ant-Man 3, just with Hank, Janet, Scott, Cass, and Henry Jr. as the stars of the film. And of course, Bill Foster would become Goliath during the final battle and would unfortunately sacrifice himself to defeat MODOK, played by Rainn Wilson. Next movie is Captain Marvel. It's the same film except it takes place in the present day, and Gravik would be a rogue Skrull. And he would end up escaping in the end to set up his rivalry with the Fantastic Four. Next movie is Avengers Endgame. Movie's the same except Franklin would be in this film, and Sue misses Johnny a lot. Even her father. However, during the final battle, Johnny would be revived, but however, a big death would be Hank Pym. But Iron Man would still sacrifice himself to defeat Thanos. And in the end, the Fantastic Four are united as a family again and return to the Baxter Building. Next movie is Fantastic Four: The Coming of Galactus. The plot would be identical to that of The Coming of Galactus, except the pregnancy plot would be cut, but if it were to be kept, this can be the introduction of Valera Richards, Sue and Reed's daughter. But it would most likely be cut, preferably. The villains of the Thinkerer, Wizard, and Diablo would be mentioned. Spider-Man would appear and would help them face someone like, I'd say, Puppet Master and the Mad Tinkerer. And, of course, Frankie Reyes would become Nova, while Silver Surfer would be played by Rami Malek. And Doctor Doom would also appear in this film, and during the final battle, Mole Man and Doctor Doom would die during the final battle. And Frankie becomes normal again so she can begin her relationship properly with Johnny, and they begin dating at the end, as she's now a member of the family and Franklin's aunt. Next movie is Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's mostly the same film except Mysterio, rather than being a former employee of Tony Stark, he would be a former employee of Norman Osborn, who was a rival with Reed and Stark. And of course, Gwen Stacy would be introduced in this film. And I would picture Sabrina Carpenter playing her. At one point during the final battle, Mysterio would kidnap not only Gwen, but also MJ. And Peter would have the Future Foundation suit, and Reed would replace Happy. But during the final battle, when Mysterio drops both Gwen and MJ, and Spider-Man has to save one of them, he ends up saving Gwen, but MJ dies! MJ dies! For real. This then leads to Spider-Man beating Mysterio up and nearly killing him. Even Mysterio would ask Peter if he's going to kill him, but Peter's like, no, I won't. Because I feel like Spider-Man would not kill his villains. Even with a black suit, he wouldn't. He would just beat them very badly. At the end, Mysterio's arrested, but Peter's life is in shambles as Spider-Man is framed as an attempted murderer, like people condemn him for the deaths of many innocent people during the final battle, even though he was just trying to save them, which some defend. And Peter just gives up being Spider-Man at the end. There would be an after credits scene where Mysterio's in prison and is met by Norman Osborn, who ends up shooting Mysterio, killing him. Now, in terms of Phase 4 and beyond, I feel like there would be epilogue films following Endgame. Because, I don't know, maybe they just would have ended it with Endgame and made a few more films like Thor Love and Thunder, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which would be Doctor Strange and the Nexus of Nightmares, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and maybe Captain Marvel 2. Side note, Gravik would be one of the opening villains in Fantastic Four: The Coming of Galactus. And Spider-Man No Way Home, which would be a more grounded film with Green Goblin as the main antagonist. And would have no multiverse elements or Doctor Strange or any of that. Which means no Toby and Andrew Spider-Man. But Peter and Gwen's relationship may have come to a completion. If not, Liz Allen could return and be Peter's love interest in this film, thus kind of coming full circle. But who knows what would have happened after this Phase 3? Who knows what would have happened afterwards? But anyways, I will see you all later, true believers.